Hello everyone, welcome back to Drawn by Ani channel. This is me, Ani, and I will be drawing for you today. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. So today I'm gonna work on the second part of the Ani project that I've started in my previous video. I've decided to make a fan art of the newest Grok assistant Ani, and in the part 1 I was drawing original style, so I tried to draw a portrait of Ani as close to the original design as possible. And in this video I'm going to color the sketch that I've already made and you've seen in part 1 as well, but this time I'm going to make it with my own stylish tweak and also a little bit of a redesign. As you can see, her hairstyle is a bit different. It's my artistic flow just took the best of me and I decided to kind of switch around the hair a little bit, but the general design is same with a little bit of twist of my style on the facial features. So I've started with a pencil sketch that is made beforehand just to save us some time with this video, and I'm going to showcase you my coloring process as well as the line art process. And I'm going to use the same color palette and same materials and my usual art arsenal, which is alcohol-based markers for the main coloring, fine liners for the line art, and a little bit of a tweak with my pencils to add up some softness on the blush and maybe some accents in the shadows, and just a tiny dot of white on her eyes when I'm done with coloring her eyes with acrylic paint pen marker. So for starters, I'm going to erase the initial sketch a little bit to make the final result a little bit cleaner, and starting with the underpaint with pinks, I decided to use a little different shade of pink this time to make her lips and cheeks look a little bit colder, because in the first portrait I used a warmer red to make her cheeks and lips, but for this one I just went for slightly different tint. So when I'm done with the underpainting, I'm making the base color of the skin and I'm going on top of the underpainting, so the blending looks more soft and less rough and edgy. And then I immediately go to the hair and making the base color and the main volume with the darker marker with this one. So I decided to switch her hairstyle for a little bit of a more fun one while still keeping it like 2 ponytails, but it's made into this little bubbles. I'm clueless on what this hairstyle is called, but they totally look like teddy bear ears to me, so let's call them teddy bear bubbles. But I didn't want to remove the braids completely, so I left some of the hair strands hanging from the bubbles. I have no idea if that's even possible to do in real life, but I don't care at this point, it just looks cool. So for her hairstyle, I also gave her a laced hairbands because they also match her color and it looks cool and more detailed, and I enjoy making lace with my fine liner, so that's a 3 yes and 0 no's, so that's why I went for it. And this time I'm working on her hair gradually, so I'm not doing the underpaint for the shadows. I'm just making the base color and then gradually adding more pigment in the more darkened or shadowed areas, and that's how the shading is formed on her hair. And so as soon as I'm done with the base color and most of the shading, I am starting to work on the line art, and for that I'm using my fine liners. The thinnest one that I have is 01. So this I find the most satisfying and easy to use because it's pretty easy to make the dynamic line art that I'm used to, which means making thinner and thicker lines wherever I wish. So I'm making thicker lines where the more shadow is supposed to go, so it gives more volume to that place, and where the more lighter area is, there is a thinner line which gives away that it's on a highlighted area. I hope I make sense. And while I'm gradually working on the line art, I find myself thinking that maybe I should try a lineless art style. I can see the part of her hair that is not lined out, and it kind of looks cool even without it. But I've always struggled to feel that the painting is complete without the line art, so I just ended up doing it anyway. But you let me know in the comments what you think. Maybe I should try making an art experiment without a line art, and also suggest a character that you would want to see in this kind of art style, because I am clueless. But I cannot live without making a line art for a long time. Like, look at those laces. I cannot. They are just so satisfying to draw. Whenever I'm done drawing the lace stuff, I just cannot stop looking at it. These are my favorite drawings, the characters that have lace stuff, either accessories or clothing. I think I might add some of the lace clothing to Sylvia's design, because that's the character that fits this lace the most, and I think it's gonna look so cool on her. Yeah, don't mind me, just a random thought here and there. And as you can see, I haven't added the hearts above her hair like with the first portrait. That is because I've drawn all these hearts in her lace, as you can see, but they are very subtle. You can barely notice it unless you know. If you know, you know. And also I've made her pupils form not round but the heart-shaped, and I think that looks super duper cute. I've always loved some weird shapes in the pupils, and I tend to design my characters with the same thing in mind, but I rarely draw them close up enough to showcase the weird design of their eyes. Soon might as well do it, because I just have a hyperfixation on whatever thing sometimes. So after I'm done with the line art, I am adding some accents here and there with my colored pencils, and I've noticed that there's a little too little contrast on her hair, so I decided to go over with pencil to add some warmth and also some contrast, but not to be too much overly saturating it. I decided I would do it with pencils, not markers, and that's a very nice tool to add up some texture to your drawing as well, because alcohol-based markers, they are pretty plain, and if you're doing everything correctly, you can barely see any strokes unless you intend to make it a stroked color. You know, there are art styles that are making drawing with markers intentionally with some strokes, and it looks very cool. I have nothing against that, but I tend to use markers like that, so I'm putting my base colors and shading so that there is little to no stroke, so I'm trying to blend it very carefully, or I'm placing the rough shade where I really want it to be visible. And I also work around my line art because it's way easier to hide the strokes in the line art, so it's not visible and it's very flat. And then if I want to add some texture or some rough edges, I can do that additionally later on. So yeah, everything you see on the art that I do is usually an intention. It's not a bug, it's a feature. So after I'm done with most of the stuff, it's time to add some highlights, which is a white acrylic paint pen or a white gel pen, depends on how thick of an accent I want to add. So I'm putting a few dots here and there on her lips and the eyes, and I decided to go over her shadows on the skin and neck, so the shading looks a little bit more contrast. So I went back and took a few more red and pink colors and added some warmth to the shades on her face. And as soon as I'm done with that, I think this is pretty much finished. Man, I really enjoyed the process of making this one. I really had so much fun doing Ani fan art. Ani is drawing Ani. So let me know in the comments what you think, and if you have any tips or tricks that you would like to share with me and you would want me to try out, leave them also down in the comments. And if anything you want me to draw, any character or any fandom you want me to check out, do share me as well, because I'm starving for something new. thank you very much for joining me on this one. And if you haven't seen part 1 of this video, check it out on my channel. If you like to see more of my work, subscribe and leave a like. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.